The last thing, very crucial, is to entertain. Something which even I feel a lot of difficulty in, because humor is something which even I personally, even now, I'm trying to improve in, because that's something which requires lots of presence of mind, lots of general knowledge also in a certain way. And a lots of it's a certain attitude to be entertaining in your communication. That's something which I personally didn't have in my persona as such, in my personality, but that's something I'm trying to consciously develop even now. I feel I'm in my growing period in that. But I feel entertainment need not always be based on humor. It could be anything. But the core of entertainment, I feel, is that when you speak, the audience should feel that they were lucky to have been there. More than that, the audience should also feel that they were lucky to have you speaking on stage. Two things. The audience should feel that they were lucky to have been in the room where you were speaking, and they should also feel that they were lucky to have you as the speaker of the room. Period. That's all it means to entertain your audience. They should feel that your thing, that your presentation, your communication was just worth it for their time, that they had all of their paisa vasool. So that's what it means to have entertainment as an aspect in your communication. So these were the four aspects which I felt were very crucial for you to question yourself when you are questioning yourself with regard to your purpose. When you ask what is your purpose, what is the purpose of your speech, you also need to ask these corollary questions, the corollaries of this particular question, which is, how do I convince? What is the information which I'm producing? Or how do I entertain? And how do I persuade? So these are the four corollaries of the very question, which is, what is the purpose? This was the second aspect of our session today. And another quote is, which is really nice, is, a talk is a voyage with a purpose, and it must be chartered. The meaning of chartered here is to have a plan for it, to map it. You have a map for your entire presentation. And it's a voyage, believe me. It's you're taking your audience through a journey, through a story. So this is the second aspect. And the third aspect of my presentation today is, what is the message? We have messages of inspiration, we have messages of just plain information, like be it in a class lecture, it's just plain information. The only thing you can hope is to make it a bit interesting by adding some humor, this and that. But what is the message? You got to be very, very sure about this one thing. Is the message about speaking about how to improve your communication, well, which is the message in my present speech presently? Or is it a speech about how you can improve your time management? Is it a speech about wherein you're explaining a particular aspect of science, mathematics, social, etc.? What is the message? What is the core of your speech? That's a question you need to ask. And you also need to ask yourself, how much mastery do I have on my speech? I mean, on my message, which I'm actually delivering. How masterful am I on the subject of my delivery? So this can give you a sense of confidence and clarity when you're addressing your audience. So that was number three, which was message. And now we come into certain very crucial aspects of communication, which is communication competencies. What are those aspects of communication which we need to really improve in, so that we get to deliver our best when we are on stage? And number one is, my friend, it's professionalism. And one word which comes to my mind whenever I listen, or come across the word professionalism, is integrity. Integrity is about how credible are you? How are you able to walk your talk? Is your thinking and actions both in one line? So, how are you able to express your attitude and your personality and your message in the most inspiring way, so that it's most lasting? It has a long lifespan in the people's mind. These are all the things which can be included in professionalism. Number one, just to recap, in professionalism is credibility and integrity. So these are what sums up in professionalism, and these can be, emphasized in our communication in a very big way. Next is adaptability. When we are speaking, we in our journey of in being a communicator, we will have to speak in various stages. Maybe sometimes you'll have to speak in a classroom, sometimes you speak in a great symposium on a stage in front of thousands of people, sometimes you'll have to speak in a restaurant in an open mic, or anywhere for that matter, just with a friend of yours. How adaptable are you with people and with locations? The more adaptable you are, the more flexible you are in your efficacy in communication. That's where adaptability plays an important role. Next is influence. How can you bring most impact on the people's mind? Impact and influence are just the same. I feel how impactful are you on people's hearts and minds? That is what expresses your influence. You can also rev up your influence with social media on a material level, because social media and communication, this combo of social media and effective communication is a bomb. When you have both of these, you can do anything in the world, because that is something which really resonates with everyone if you speak in a particular language in which your audience can understand you. Next, it's creative thinking. Creative thinking is the only way through which you can relate with a wide scape of audience, because not everyone thinks the same way. One person thinks artistry, another person thinks science. One person thinks sports, another person thinks politics. We all have different mindsets. And when we use creative thinking, we can be mapping and connecting the dots of various aspects in one particular combo. So creative thinking plays a very crucial role in communication. Next, it's eloquency. ಎಲಕ್ವೆನ್ಸಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ವಾಕ್ ಚಾತುರ್ಯ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಅಥವಾ ಸಂಸ್ಕೃತದಲ್ಲಿ ವಾಕ್ ಚಾತುರ್ಯ. ಸೊ ಇನ್ ಮೆನಿ ಶ್ಲೋಕಾಸ್ ಇನ್ ಕನ್ನಡ, ವಿ ಪ್ರೇ ಫಾರ್ ದಿ ಲಾರ್ಡ್ ಟು ಗಿವ್ us ವಾಕ್ ಶುದ್ಧಿ, or what is called ವಾಕ್ ಚಾತುರ್ಯ. ವಾಕ್ means speaking in Sanskrit. Vak Devi means Saraswati, who's the goddess of knowledge. So eloquency is what is this, or is the translation, literal translation of Vak. Vak or Vak, is also communication in general, but I feel it's more eloquency, wherein you're most fluent in speaking what you want in the most appropriate way. Eloquency, my friend, it plays a very crucial role. Lastly, my friend, it's attitude. Attitude, see, there is also a very popular thing. Let's say you say A is number one, B is number two, C is number three. And then I say ABC, and you will have to add A, which was number one, B, which was number two, C, which was number three. If you add ABC, you'll get 1 plus 2 plus 3, and it is 3 plus 2, 5. You'll get 6. So A plus B plus C gives you 6. Similarly, if you do the same thing for the word attitude, you will get 100 as the sum. Okay, so that means that which signifies attitude is so important. In spite of that summation thing, attitude plays a significant role, because your attitude defines your altitude in communication as well. And one quote here is, the most immutable barrier in nature is between one man's thoughts and the others. What this means is, the biggest barrier that can be found on a communicative aspect is between people's thoughts. We all have different mindsets. As I told, prejudice, people have different biases. So it's very difficult to break through this fort and go into the other person's mind and deliver your message and ensure you also inspire him. Okay. So this is what is the art of communication. How can you do this entire journey from your mind to their mind, from point A to point B, from your thought and beliefs to his thoughts and belief, and how can you impact this journey is what is effective communication. So that was this quote. And lastly, one small chocolate session where I'll give you first inputs is for impact: word emphasis, pauses, pacing, voice, phrasing, movement. Okay, word emphasis, stressing on aspects in your communication, or stressing on certain words, phrases, or certain sentences or certain sounds in your speech, so that people's attention comes in, plays a very important role in bringing impact in your communication. Next is pauses. Pause is very important, because silence works like magic. And it's only silence which brings people's mind, like very fast into the aspect you want to build, emphasize, or impact into. So when you bring a pause between whatever you're speaking, then attention is being drawn, which brings us to pacing. Pacing and pauses is kind of similar, but pacing also involves speeding up. At certain parts of your speech, you got to be fast. And this fast and slow, up and down, makes your entire speech very colorful and, easily relatable, because ups and downs brings a variety in your speech. And we humans have this brain which is addicted to variety, which is why we have so many reels which have lots of colors, sounds, this and that. Pacing. Next is voice, which is similar to pacing, ups and downs. When you have ups and downs in your voice, which is called as voice modulation, variety comes, lots of colors, lots of audio. You will be more catchy for your audience. Next is movement, which is your hand gestures, your body language, your eye contact, your movement on your stage, how you do this. That makes you very catchy. Movement builds impact. Lastly, it's phrasing. How do you phrase whatever you're telling? Let's say you have an idea. How do you paraphrase it? How do you phrase things out? How do you phrase your thoughts? Let's say you were very fascinated about a particular quote, but you forgot the literal wordings of the quote. And now you got to paraphrase it. How do you build words? I mean, how is your eloquency in, actually turning an idea into a transmutable, a transferable I mean, how can you actually transport ideas from what you have? That's what I was trying to mean. How do you paraphrase things? So that's the last aspect here. So these are the very crucial elements in building impact in your communication. So to end this session, there is, yeah. Okay, to end this session, we have what is called the aha moment in many of us. What is the aha moment? At least in my perspective, it is, I mean, there's this person called Jerry Wiesman, of whose quote I'd like to read. Aha, he says, is that satisfying moment of understanding and agreement that occurs when an idea from one person's mind has been successfully transferred or communicated to another's.